Hey, volleyball fans, welcome to another edition of Side Out Podcast with Davis Ransom. I'm Braden Soprenet, and Davis, what a great game between Canyon Crest and Torrey Pines.
That's some high-level volleyball for sure. Torrey looked really sharp. It was a high-level game, probably one of the best games we've seen this year.
What was your take? Canyon Crest had two bad sets in a day where they couldn't have any bad sets, but what can you say about the way they battled back and challenged Torrey Pines late in set three?
Well, Canyon Crest Fighting Spirit's not going to go anywhere. They believe in themselves. It's just Torrey was playing so well. They were so sharp, and Torrey's block looked great. So they just had to keep fighting, and they were. They're a well-disciplined team. And so I knew they would fight back, and that bodes well for the playoffs for sure.
What about a potential rematch between these two teams? Are you excited for that, potentially? They're probably going to be the 1 and 2.
Yeah, I'm totally excited. We've seen Canyon Crest play better, and I think they can play better. Torrey did a lot to cause them not to play their best volleyball, but if Canyon Crest plays a little bit better, they could get them for sure.
So let's get into our top 10s, our last top 10s before the playoffs, and a little bit of a mix-up on your part. You changed up a couple spots, but overall, this is what our top 10 looks like. So Torrey Pines won. We all know that was going to be the case. Regardless of what the outcome was tonight, it was definitely going to be Torrey 1, Canyon Crest 2. Both of us had Cathedral Catholic at 3. Now, this is where it changes. It didn't change on the overall one, but you had Bishops at 4. Tell us why you think the Bishop Knights deserve to be ranked above La Costa Canyon and even Ramona.
Well, La Costa Canyon's a little beat up, and so they had some injuries. Bishops is still healthy. They're getting better as the season goes on. Like I said, they're one of the most efficient, well-coached teams, and I see them playing better and better volleyball. La Costa Canyon looks a little bit disoriented because of some of the injuries they have, so that's why I made that switch.
So not to confuse anyone, that didn't affect too much of the rankings, as we still had La Costa Canyon at number 4, and then Bishops. They did pass Ramona, like you said. So you got the Ramona Bulldogs at 6, La Jolla Country Day at 7. What can you tell us a little bit about the Torreys, who just lost a league championship game to Bishops?
They're still a really solid team, and they're getting better, and they play in a tough league. So I think that benefits them going into playoffs, because when they get into the playoffs, they've seen those types of matches all throughout the league. So Country Day's playing great. They got a kid that can't be stopped in the middle, and I think they're going to give any team a tough game for sure.
Bottom 3 of the top 10, both of us agreed on the 8, 9, and 10 spot. Well, for the most part. Olympian at 8. University City is number 9, and San Marcos is 10. I threw Grossmont in there at 10, but, strength of schedule plays a little bit into our top 10, but we'll see how they do in the playoffs. So let's talk a little bit about the playoffs. The seeding is on Saturday, on October 28th. We'll find out where everybody's going, but just to talk a little bit of like what we expect the top 8 teams in each division to look like, let's go with the Open, and both of us agreed for the most part. Torrey Pines 1, Canyon Crest Academy 2, Cathedral 3, LCC 4, Ramona, Bishops, La Jolla Country Day, and Olympian round out the top 8. Why does Olympian get in at number 8 and barely crack the Open division?
They've been so steady this year. They've beaten everyone they're supposed to. They had a couple good wins. They've just been super consistent. So, I think they're very deserving of being an Open team. And the style of play that they play is aggressive. They got a ton of spirit. I think they'll be a great fit for that.
What is one team in the Open playoff that, if it's not one of the ones that we think that get actually slated into the Open playoff on Saturday, what team are you expecting that to be? So a team that's not on our list, but you wouldn't be surprised to see in the Open come Saturday night.
Scripps Ranch, I think, could definitely be in the Open. They're playing some really good volleyball. They played a out of section tournament against some really tough competition, and I think they're going to be getting better and better. They have a really important league matchup against Point Loma, and they beat Point Loma last time. And those are two really strong teams, so I'm excited for that matchup. But I wouldn't be surprised if Scripps got into that Open division.
I was thinking maybe along the lines of Point Loma. They did struggle, but that would be a team where I wouldn't be shocked if they got into the Open playoff. But let's go into D1, okay? So these are the teams that did not get into the Open. They're the remaining 16 teams. We're going to give you the top 8 in our opinion of who we think is going to be there on Saturday. Scripps Ranch, I got as the 1, Point Loma 2, Santa Fe Christian 3, Del Norte 4, Eastlake, Poway, San Diego, and Carlsbad. So as we look at Division 2, and this is just us giving our preview, kind of prediction of what we think it's going to look like on Saturday, What is your team? What is the team that you think is the favorite to win Division One?
I would say Point Loma. They've played a really tough schedule. They've beat some good teams. They have weapons that if they put it together at the right time, they could absolutely win that division. That's my choice. I think there's a bunch of other good teams in there, but I know Point Loma went to the state finals last year, and I think they could win CIF. It'd be awesome for their school.
I think Santa Fe Christian is a team to beat. I've watched them in person a couple times. They seem like they're rolling right now, so that's my team to beat. But now let's talk on the other side. What is a team that's kind of sneaky that you can think, hey, don't count these guys out. They might win the whole thing.
So I would say Santa Fe. So it kind of went the opposite. Santa Fe is playing some of their best ball of the season. They're in a really tough league. They're prepared. They got an excellent coach. And the libero she's stellar. She's probably the top libero in the county. And when you have passing and you have multiple weapons like Santa Fe and they're hungry, they could be a team that does it for sure.
I have San Diego, and they coming in at number 7. But the way they play, they do have a couple top players that can get them into a spot like that. But tough schedule, tough league, set them back. They didn't beat any of the open teams that we think are going to be in the open, but that doesn't mean they can't win a bunch of D1 games.
Well, absolutely. And, last year they had a sort of interesting experience in Division One. They were the 1 seed and then got bumped out early. I think that's going to play into their mindset, and I think they're going to be a lot more hungry, and I totally think they could knock off some of those teams for sure.
Let's get into D2. San Marcos, they're very high. Their record is unbelievable. No, they didn't play a lot of top teams, but it wouldn't be surprised to see them get rewarded for their record at number 1. And then University City, one of our top 10 teams, in at 2. Rancho Bernardo, Pacific Ridge, Patrick Henry, Steel Canyon, Christian, and Fallbrook is who we think the top 8 are going to be in that playoff. Who is your team to win this bracket?
I'm going to go with UC. I think UC's got a stud that no one can really stop. She's hitting over the top of blocks. She doesn't make errors, and I think UC's tough. They're also really disciplined. They play awesome defense, and they've played a tough schedule, so I think they'll be prepared.
I'm taking UC as well, just ditto for all the same reasons that you had. But anyway, so let's get into the dark horse. All right, so I'm going to go with a team that I've seen, and we ranked them earlier in the year. They're up in North County, had a pretty tough league. Pack Ridge. I think they can maybe go on a run and potentially win Division II. Who do you have?
I'm going to take San Marcos. I know it's not exactly a dark horse because they got 24 wins, but they're also untested against some of those top teams. They could do it, and getting that many wins can give you so much confidence that I think that could play a big role in the playoffs.
Well, dark horse in a way, it doesn't matter what seed you are. You could be the underdog in most of your games in the D1 playoff just solely on the fact that you haven't really played anybody, if you want to just use that as a reference. But it's a decent dark horse pick, and then, picking the number 1 seed in the tournament, it doesn't matter. But so let's get into D3. Classical Academy, a team that's been on our radar a long time. Grossmont's pretty big so far in the East County. They got a league title game tomorrow against Santana. That's number 1 and 2. Vista, Helix, Brawley, Escondido, Advanced Academy, and then Mission Hills and El Camino. Who's your favorite and who's your dark horse in that division?
So my favorite is Classical Academy. They played in the finals last year for D4, I believe, and they are competitive. They know how to gear up for those matches. They're in that tough league. I think they're going to be really tough to beat. They got multiple weapons. They got a bunch of bigs that can hit across any position across the net. Excellent libero in Carly Stoltz, and they're going to be an awesome team, I think. So I think they got a great chance. I'm
taking the Foothillers. I'm buying into their record. I know they haven't necessarily played the greatest schedule, and their league's kind of on the lower end in San Diego County, but I'm buying in the Foothillers. My dark horse, though, their arch nemesis, the Helix Highlanders, who we both saw in action. They have spots where they could potentially win a couple games.
Oh, yeah. Helix is one of the most surprising teams in the county this year, I think. I mean, they look really disciplined. Their coaches got them playing excellent volleyball. They're scrappy. They got some athletic outside hitters. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened either.
The last division we're going to do. We're going to do D4. We're running out of time here, but Maranatha is the favorite to win. They're the 1 seed. They're my favorite to win. They have a great record. They've only lost 1 game, just like San Marcos. And then Chula Vista Learning Community Center. Center Community, I couldn't tell you the whole name, but they are doing really good down there in the South Bay. West Shore, Southwest El Centro, Mira Mesa, Hilltop, Mar Vista, and St. Joseph's are roughly around the top 8 teams. Real quick, before diving way too into this, who's your favorite and who's your dark horse?
I'm just going to go with Maranatha. I believe they're just on such a run. They got a ton of confidence. They've been winning all season, and I think they're going to continue that in D4.
Look out for the Chula Vista Learning Center Community. Those both of us have them as our dark horse because of their record and how great they're playing. So we didn't do the Open Division, so let's do that real quick. Who is your team to beat, or who is the team to beat, and then who is your dark horse?
I don't think you can bet against Torrey Pines. They're playing so well right now. They've played a brutally tough schedule and done awesome. They just won the Santa Barbara tournament, I believe, last weekend, and I don't think you can bet against them. They look really sharp.
I'm taking Torrey Pines as well, especially after tonight. They're top of the county, or country. They're top of the country. We got Archbishop Mittig a couple times, and they've dominated tournaments, like you said. Dark horse, though, I'm going to go with Cathedral Catholic. They've kind of been flying under the radar so far this whole year. We're talking about CCA a lot, and we're talking about Torrey, we're talking about LCC, but don't be afraid. Don't be surprised if Cathedral Catholic marks in there. So that's my pick. Who do you got?
I'm going to go with Canyon Crest. I don't think Canyon Crest played their best match tonight, and they were still competitive. They took a game off of them, and, if they play their best match and can shore up their serve-receive a little bit, I think they could really do well.
We're excited for the playoffs. Be sure to check out October 28th. Be on the lookout for us to post the playoff seedings. For Davis Ransom, I'm Braden Soprano. You listen to another edition of Side Out Podcast. We'll see you guys for playoff time next week.